The Lord of the Rings is no doubt considered one of the best film trilogies of all time, and is my personal favorite film series. It broke records, flawlessly blended CGI with practical effects, and brought millions of viewers to the incredible source material, the books. The last movie, Return of the King, won all 11 of its nominated Academy Awards, tied for the most of all time. But whenever I discuss Return of the King with people, I usually get a, yes, it was great, but it had like 4 endings and it just took forever to end. I disagree. When ending a movie, the pacing, music, and editing should match the direction of the conclusion. Is there a cliffhanger? Is it a tragedy where the viewer is left with a negative feeling? Is it sad but hopeful for the future? The feeling you have when you leave the theater is crucial because that feeling will shape the viewer's perspective of the movie, maybe forever. I believe Peter Jackson was near perfect at achieving a sense of conclusion to his epic trilogy. The Lord of the Rings movies clock in at 9.2 hours, while the extended editions add up to 12.1 hours. With such length, these movies need an ending worth the 12 hours of watch time, and it definitely satisfies at about 22 minutes. It allows viewers to create special emotional attachments with these characters. This is with any movie, but the abnormal length of the trilogy makes for an enduring adventure. Sitting and enduring a single movie for 3 straight hours allows us to become completely immersed in the world and really experience the journey of Frodo, Sam, and the rest of the Fellowship. After Gandalf picks up the hobbits from the side of Mount Doom, Frodo wakes up in Rivendell to be greeted by Gandalf, who's supposed to be dead. This first portion of the conclusion is cheerful. The Fellowship is reunited for the first time since the end of the first movie. The conclusion then shifts to Aragorn at his coronation. The movie is called Return of the King. Aragorn's song reflects the first words spoken by his great-grandfather, Elendil, when he first arrived in Gondor, and reflects the beginning of a new age. And yes, Aragorn is a focus in this movie, but after it is revealed that all the other characters have happy endings, the movie then turns to the moral of the story, the hobbits, and thus cues a real tear-jerking moment.
You bow to no one.
The close-up of Frodo and the hobbits in this scene shows Frodo's humbleness. He never set out on this journey for glory or recognition, and is the reason why he was able to carry the ring in the first place. Although the giant battles are what you might think of when you think of Lord of the Rings, they are definitely second to the journey of Frodo and Sam. A usual sign of a good movie ending is that the characters achieve something that they didn't know they wanted or needed. Frodo and Sam originally set out to save the Shire for themselves. As it cuts to each of the hobbits' faces in the Green Dragon, you can see that they're struggling to take back their old lives. And at this point, Frodo realizes he didn't save the Shire for himself to enjoy, and that's the price he has to pay. They know it will probably never be the same, and it's a bittersweet moment. Frodo says it himself here.
How do you pick up the threads of an old life? How do you go on when in your heart you begin to understand there is no going back?
By saving the Shire and the free world, he sacrificed his soul. Frodo is no longer a simple hobbit who enjoys the simple hobbit things. The Frodo we see at the beginning of the movie is not the same Frodo we see at the end. The physical and mental wounds the ring has inflicted on him, as well as the everlasting yearning for the ring, has made life, and himself, hollow. His future now lies with the elves, where he can heal instead of the Shire. During the harbor scene, not only does the story of Frodo and the Fellowship conclude, but also Bilbo's story. Past all of the mythos, grandeur, and lore for the elves leaving Middle-earth that surrounds this shot, the scene is essentially their friend dying. But because this is a tale, and we know that he will now live in peace, as a viewer it leaves a sense of almost sad optimism. This is represented by Frodo's last true smile, something that we haven't seen since the beginning of the first movie. Sam is left watching the boat sail off alone as he now takes the spotlight. Sam gets his wish and lives out the life he wanted, and the final shot calls back to the first few words of the novel that began the adventure.
In a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit.
The ending to the trilogy that won 17 out of its 30 Academy Award nominations is a roller coaster of emotions. Beginning with immediate joy, followed by bittersweet realizations, concluding with a heartsick but hopeful last shot, the conclusion to The Lord of the Rings perfectly satisfies the viewer. There are no loose ends, there are no setups. It really is near perfect. And I think other directors should strive for what Peter Jackson has done here.